What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Devote 101. I am Nathaniel Donaldson, and yeah, it was a weird intro, but I'm trying to be more energetic and enthusiastic with all this kind of stuff, but this is going to be a good one today. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I don't know if that matters, but so this is a good one. Got a great, I didn't want to say great lady here with me today. That's the correct term to call a grown woman anyway, so I have Miss Jenna Holt with me. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, we had to get like a long setup for this thing to actually work, so we've been sitting here for like, I don't know, 30 minutes trying to get this thing ready.
I don't know anything, so
Yeah, it's just whatever about all that stuff, but we're finally getting it going. So Jenna, the topic I decided to pick with you today was faithfulness, and I do have a definition of this word somewhere, but the whole basic concept of faithfulness, like I looked up what faithfulness meant on Google, and it said having faith, and I was like, okay, so I had to look at the definition of faith, and the basic concept of it is just complete trust in someone, and you know what we're talking about is having absolute faithfulness in God in anything. But so the thing here is remaining faithful can, you know, seem easy at times, but also extremely difficult in different times. Not the same time, that'd be kind of weird, but like for instance, this is what I've noticed for sure, and this is kind of testing me right now in my life, but like more than likely when we start to do a work for God, or even when we're just trying to live a sin-free life, is when the enemy seems to like really attack hard, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I think it's pretty difficult to live life while being attacked left and right by the enemy.
Yes. Very much so. Like, and I Googled faithfulness too.
I had a feeling you would.
Because I'm like, well, let's see what Google has to say. So I actually got more of like faithfulness, like from, I would say, God's perspective, or I guess how we should see faithfulness from like God. So one of the definitions was firmness or constancy of God, and then it went on to say He's constant in keeping his promises, and he is worthy of trust. I was like, wow. It's like, okay.
He really is. That's nice. First of all, I like your hat that you chose to wear here. It says, "Not today, Satan."
That is my life motto.
That's like you wear that hat a lot, I've noticed.
I do. But if you come at me, I will. Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan. There's been multiple times I've had to, you know, tell Satan, not today. Yeah. And there's plenty of times I think he's just tested my faith.
Definitely.
Whether it be more than likely at work or school. Here lately it's been like work. So like, it's just like, it's not even nothing too big of a deal. Like and I've heard the way I'm going to explain this before I get into that was just kind of like, I've heard my grandfather talking about one preacher. He said something like, he said the devil will come at you in different forms. And it may be in the form of a person. Not saying that person is possessed by the devil. Right. But it might be something they just do that might rub you the wrong way.
Exactly.
So, like, for instance, I come into work, happy and everything. I'm been feeling great. Woke up early. I don't know why, but, you know, just like to wake up early and just so I'm feeling good.
I'm glad you're that kind of person, because I'm not. I am working on it. But
it's a process, that's for sure. I mean, I've had to work up to that. I haven't been doing that my whole life. Like, going to school, like, back in high school, I'd just wake up and go to school. And they're like, "What's up, Nathaniel?" I'm like, "Shut up."
Oh, yeah.
Done with school already, you know?
They know not to talk to me in the morning.
It's like, oh, she's off limits right now. Don't worry about her. But like, I've tried to, you know, wake up early in a great mood just so I can start the day off good. And, you know, I'll come to work, be like, "Hey, how you doing?" They're like, I'm good. Well, actually, they don't say they're good. A lot of people are like, "I'm here," you know? Yeah. And I used to say that. And I'm like, nah, I want to kind of be, you know, an example, maybe. Maybe somebody might see it's like, "Why are you always in a good mood?"
That's
it's like, well,
a really good way to think about it.
I've tried it, because I remember back when I worked at my old job, they always were like, "Why are you always so happy?" And I didn't even think I was so happy, and I was just kind of like, I don't hate my life, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know how to answer that at that time. I was just living life, you know, and I wasn't even like trying to set an example back then, and they could feel something. They're like, "Why are you so happy all the time?" And I'm just like, I could have like, "Well, let me tell you about Jesus," but no. Back then I was just like, "Oh, I'm just happy." Some kind of dumb response. But see, now I'm trying to have that perspective at it. So people are like, and I'm gonna be happy like him.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to initiate that, but there's times where the devil's like, okay, you want to try that? All right, let me throw this person that woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. So like I said, like for instance, there is a older guy I work with, and sometimes, I mean, I understand he gets very tired and a lot of stuff, and he's one that's having to be working a lot here lately because I have to go to school, and the other two guys that are working too have to go to school, so he has to work a lot. So I understand if he's kind of in a bad mood sometimes. But I'm like, hey, how you doing? He goes, hey. He usually would say, good, how are you, or something. There isn't like one time he's like, I'm here, and then he was really poppy, and I was just kind of like, I mean, I did my best to stay nice. I was like, there's nothing but the devil trying to bring me down to his level. And that happens a lot at work, because I don't know, it just may be like the people probably don't get enough sleep. That's for sure. That's one thing I had to tell myself: get a lot of sleep.
That's hard. And when you're in school and you're working, you're trying to do your best at both, and that can get so hard. I mean, 24 hours is not a lot of time.
No, it ain't enough time, because there's times when I get home from work or get home from school, I like want to sit down for a minute. You know, maybe just get a chance to stare at the wall. I don't know. I just want to sit down for a second. But, you know, with having school and work, you got to sit down and just immediately start homework or something.
You almost don't want to sit down because you know, like if I sit down, it's over.
I would be like in a YouTube hole, like watching, I don't know, something.
3 hours later.
You just want to look up like a definition to like this word or something. Next thing I know, I'm watching sharks play guitars or something, like something retarded. Like I'm just like, I've been in this thing for like 2 hours already, and I haven't even got any schoolwork done.
Yeah.
And that can be very difficult coming home from all that crazy stuff and not have a bad mood.
Right.
And you know, here past couple of weeks, that's one thing the devil has been trying to test in just testing my walk with God, really. Like, kind of like throwing that at me, or something with school can be kind of frustrating, or like just something that come up in my life in general, you know, or I could just wake up with a bad mood. Even though I've tried this, I still wake up with a bad mood sometimes, and you just got to push through it.
I'm just, if you know me, you know, like, I'm not a morning person, and it's not because, like, I just want to be rude or grumpy in the morning, and I try my best not to be, but I'm trying. I have not succeeded every day.
Yeah.
But getting up and, like, having, like, 30 minutes before I have to get ready for school and leave, like, just, like, prayer and, like, reading my Bible, just some quiet time just to start my day off, get my day rolling in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I have not succeeded every day. My body has never been so tired when that alarm goes off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I so tired? Like, I know I'm getting up to, like, be with the Lord and, you know, like, dig into the Word.
That's when I think you'll be the tiredest, whenever you want to do that.
Yes. No, like, I 100%, like, when you decide, like, you want to do something, like, for God, or He's leading you to something else, and you decide that you're going to do it, the devil will definitely come for you.
Do you remember, brother, the Holloways came here for that hyphen questionnaire thing, or Q&R, really, question and response thing. Brother AJ, or I'm sorry, let me say Brother Holloway, he said, if you have a hard time finding time to pray, because, you know, remaining faithful to God is praying every day. That's one thing that's been so hard for me to just get in my life, is to pray.
I'm like, I believe that is so important, but how am I, you know, doing that in my own life every day? So that really
him and Sister Holloway said, she said, there's times where you just got to slip it in every now and again.
Yeah.
I said,
she's talking about cooking.
You won't be able, if you have no way of stopping and praying, do it during the day, because actually I drive a lot. It's almost unreal as much as I drive. So when I'm in the car by myself, that's when I talk to him. And actually, literally, I just talk to him like he is my friend. I don't have to use all these big words and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't think he really cares about that. It's just he wants the relationship.
Exactly.
And doing that every morning is like, okay, God, woke up a little late this morning. You know, just help me have a good attitude today. Something like that. And then, you know, any other stuff that comes across my mind, I just like talk to him like I'm just explaining to him something. I
used to think like you had to be like, oh, precious holy Lord, like,
and there's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's not. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I just think of, as I've gotten older, like, I realized like it's really like even though you can't see him, the relationship that you and him should have is just like a friend. Like, you wouldn't go, I wouldn't come to you and, oh, Nate, worthy of all, like, you
okay,
know.
Shakespeare.
I know.
It's like,
That's not how, so I do the same thing, and I'm like, okay, God, like, I don't feel good this morning. I'm not about going to school. I don't want to sit here and learn. Like, please help me.
yeah,
And
yeah. I know there was a friend of mine that needed a job, and they were like, just pray for me. I'm looking for something. I need to find it. I told him, I was like, okay, I'll pray for you. And I also told him, I was like, I'm not just saying that like one of those Christian responses that a lot of people have, like, oh, I'm praying for you, and they don't do it. No, I legitimately, as soon as I got my car, I did it.
yeah,
I did it all week. And it goes to show, like, if you're faithful and that kind of stuff. I had faith that he would get that person a job, and I was super faithful. And then they text me, like, 4 days later. It wasn't even that long. Like, I got a job interview, and I was just like, praise God. Because, like,
yeah,
that just goes to show, if you ask God for something, you ultimately believe that he'll do it.
it is.
That's really what will allow it to happen. Because I think if you just pray and you don't think it's going to happen, no.
Yeah.
He's
It's
not.
all about,
You've got to have faith in him.
faith. In Hebrews 11:1, it says, faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is, I am a fact kind of person. Like,
Yeah.
I want you to be able to show me and point it out, and like me be able to see it for myself. So that is, I've struggled a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been trying to work on it, because I'm like, that's not, I mean, I believe God, so why don't I believe to have faith?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that really put in perspective for me.
Yeah. Well, we do rely on sight to believe things.
Yeah.
And
that's how we're taught.
That is the ultimate, most hardest thing in our walk with God, I think, is just having faith that he will do it. And it may be a month, maybe a year, maybe 10 years. Like, Lord have mercy if that's the case. But
I'm a planner too, so like,
yeah, I like to know.
And I'm like, I would think by now how I've made plans and the Lord has just thrown them out the window. Nothing I ever would have thought of. Like, he made new plans, and I'm so grateful and thankful that that happened. But I'm like, what if I had just stopped making my own plans, and, you know, prayed and had faith that he would make my plans, like where, you know, I was needing to go, or things that were happening in my life, things that needed to open or close, you know. And I could have saved myself a lot of trouble. But I also think too, that was such a like awesome learning experience and growing, because there's just so much that you don't know until you go through it.
Oh, yeah. I think there's times when you ask God, like, okay, I don't know if I need to do this or not.
Yeah.
But I feel like I should. And he might just let you go through it just so you can experience, maybe this isn't for me. That may be a learning experience that he allows to happen. It's like, okay, God, I want to do this thing. Or I want to go in this particular way in school. Or I want this job or something. He's like, okay, I'll let you have it. And, you know, that's what's so awesome. He gives us the power of choice.
Yes.
And so he has a plan. But if we choose to do something else, he's like, okay, that's your decision.
Yeah, he
you know?
gives us free will.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then when we go through that, it's like, okay, maybe this wasn't for me, unless you're stubborn, you want to push through it anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, God will give you a feeling. And so if you're faithful that he will show you the way, it might be straight up slam the door shut, no, or go through it and then you figure it out.
Yeah.
And he's done that to me multiple times and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll tell this story real quick, that way I don't forget about it. Back when I was in high school, you remember when I played on the basketball team?
Right.
That's my number one, number one sport I love to play. There's like noises everywhere, but that's my number one sport to play. I love to play basketball. Like, just back when a time like I would pretty much die for it, and that's a little scary to think about that. And my ultimate number one dream was like, people were like, so what are you gonna do for a job when you graduate high school, or what are you gonna go for? I'm like, I'm gonna go to college, play basketball, and go to the NBA. Yeah. And they're like, you don't have a plan B? I was like, nope. They're like, well, you gotta have plan B. And I'm sitting here thinking, in my young mind, I'm like, if you have only that plan, that's when that you'll succeed. It's like, no, you gotta have a backup. I mean, in case something doesn't work out or whatever, unless God has something different. Of course, I back then didn't care what God had for me, but he did. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
I was gonna go into my third year, I guess my junior year, and tried out and everything. I thought I played great in those tryouts and stuff. I thought I had a good showing of it, and you know, and I got cut, and a couple people made it over me that I thought were not even worthy of even touching a basketball.
Yeah, I remember that because I'm like, they didn't put Nate on the team.
Yeah, a lot of people. Of course, I'm not trying to talk myself up on basketball, but a lot of people were asking me, "It's like, why didn't you make the team?" I was like, they thought I quit or something. No,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But my papa told me as soon as I got home. Of course, he felt for me. He knew how much that hurt me and stuff, and he goes, "It's gonna be okay." He said, "Well, hey." He said, now you can go to youth stuff now, like youth services and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you're not
at the point. I'm like,
I don't want to go to youth
I don't
stuff.
care. Like I don't I don't want to go to that kind of stuff. I don't care. I want to be a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, I went through that that stage of just like wanting to, what did I not do in the tryouts, or what did I not improve on? Let me improve on it, all that kind of stuff. And I worked on it, but then God actually started touching me and telling me, it's like, do you know you're not supposed to do this? There's a reason I had you cut. And after that, I remained faithful. Be like, okay. Of course, back then, he's just getting you on a path.
Mm-hmm.
This is an experience for me to understand what he's got for me. And this actually helps me have faith in him in a lot of situations I'm going through. Like if something doesn't work out, he's got something else planned. And that's kind of the initial thought that I've had with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's worked on me. I feel a calling in my life, and I'm not exactly sure what it is yet, but I feel something.
I know what you mean.
But all that is just having faith in God. So having that experience, the whole point of why I'm telling this story is if something gets slammed shut in front of my face, I have to think, okay. Famous, I think this is like the famous like words that you say to God whenever something happens. Okay, God. So this is not happening. So what's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
And that actually doesn't get me discouraged anymore. Knowing that if something slams shut, or if I don't get this job, I'm like, okay, God, you didn't want that for me.
Yeah.
So
because we've always been taught, like like He is faithful, like He will provide. But being young like that, we've never really had to. I mean, like we were taken care of. We had parents, grandparents, that did that for us, so we didn't have to worry about what was going to open next. But I think too, a lot of people think, and even me, like you think you're going to be faithful, that it's going to be easy, like it's not going to hurt. That's not true. You're going to go through things that hurt and like pain you have never thought you could survive. And I have crazy like physical hurt, pain, and it's just something that happened in my life, and I'm like, how do you feel this bad? But like you said, getting cut from the basketball team, I'll tell this story. And I was at Tech in their nursing program, and I had gotten in the first time that I applied, and I was so thankful, and I was like, this is what the Lord wants me to do, this is where I'm supposed to be. And things happened, and I didn't pass a quarter. I was 3 quarters in, on my way to my 4th, and I didn't make it. And I prayed, and that was devastating for me, and that brought up a lot of questions, like why did you let me get in the program in the first place? Why did I do this? Why did I invest so much time and effort and stay here when there's no possible physical human way for me to get back? Mm-hmm. And like I'm like, Lord, like pray, because I'm like, that's where I'm supposed to be. That's where the doors were open, so I shouldn't like be out. And prayed, and nothing. That was it. I was done. So I stayed at Tech one more quarter and just because I still wanted to be a nurse. I still want to be a nurse. I'm in nursing school somewhere else now. So I knew that was something that the Lord was leading me to, but and now looking back, like had to be faithful. And I told somebody after they called, and they were like, well, what are you thinking? Like what? And I said, I don't really know what to think. I said, but all I can think is this had to happen for a reason. And if it did, I mean, I wouldn't want to be there and get down 3 years down the road and wonder what happened in my life because I was there and I wasn't supposed to be there. So that was hard. And ended up, I left tech in February, and a job opened up at a clinic, and I got to work there for 6 months before I started school at Delta in August. And those like were some of the most amazing, I mean, they still are, experiences I've ever had. Like just getting to work in that setting and do things that I never had the opportunity to do while I was at tech, or would have had the opportunity to do if I had still been at tech and in school. And the Lord really, like, the Lord used people all throughout while I was working this summer, and just led me straight to where I'm supposed to be. Well, where I'm supposed to be is where I'm at. I pray. I mean, if not, he'll wreck my plan again.
Yeah.
So, but the doors opened because I was so worried. I knew nursing is what I wanted to do, and I felt like that was something the Lord was calling me to do, and still do feel like that. And it just happened. The Lord opened the doors, and it was easy. I got straight into Delta. I didn't have to go through, months of like applying and getting all this stuff. The door was open, and there I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and that was one of the most devastating things to me in my entire life. But I would do it over again to be able to be where I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a verse that I have. I actually have a few that is on faith or faithfulness or whatever the word. Deuteronomy 31:6. I do like this one. It says, "Be strong and of a good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, he it is that doeth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee." And that's a good scripture to keep in those particular times.
Yes.
Because it's like, well, you're not forsaking me, Lord. There's something here that you're taking me to. And actually, I wasn't going to interject this yet, but I feel like it's the right place to put it. Back to Brother Holloway.
It was a good weekend.
I love that dude, man.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah. By the way, people, he has a YouTube channel. Did you know that?
I saw it when you posted it, and I'm like, I'm about to watch every single one of these.
Yeah, he hasn't posted one in a while. Of course, he's an evangelist now. He's busy, so I understand that. But yeah, all those things are like great perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, it's awesome, and he's pretty funny on there too. Yeah. Every now and again, But what he did say that at that questionnaire hyphen thing. Actually, no, he said that he preached this Sunday night. He said we only get to see a pixel of a big picture.
Right.
Because when you look at a digital picture, you see no telling, like probably 1,080 pixels by 1,920 pixels or whatever. I don't know how that works, but you're seeing like thousands and thousands of pixels when it makes one big picture. But if you zoom in to see one little pixel, no definition. It's just like a blank color or whatever it is, it's like a blue or black or whatever.
Yeah. And
every pixel builds up the big picture. And there's times in our lives, God's like, it's like you're wondering why can't you know this one thing, or if you could just have this one answer or something, you'd be okay, all that kind of stuff. Or God, if you could just answer this for me. And there's maybe a reason why he's not answering it for you, because you're only getting to see a pixel right now, so you have faith in me. Because if I let you see the big picture right now, you would either be very arrogant. Like, for instance, I'm trying to work on my ministry, but if God told me that I was going to, own a church one day, or not own a church, but like be a pastor of a church one day, praying people with the Holy Ghost or something, I might get a little arrogant about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, God's going to work through me, all that kind of stuff, and I probably would get like that. And there's only a reason he's giving me a pixel right now, is because it's like, you're going to have faith in me, because if I gave you more than just a pixel, you probably wouldn't be faithful to me. And that's what's awesome about it. But it's also kind of
our flesh does not like that.
Oh, no,
at all.
Absolutely not.
And
a pixel don't look good, by the way, either. So
no, it's not. It's compared to the big picture. It seems so insignificant. But another thing is if you didn't have one of those pixels, how thrown off would your big picture be?
Mm-hmm. You need every pixel, and you got to build up every pixel. Like, you got to, when you're walking with God, he's giving you a pixel every so often to build that big picture. Mm-hmm. But if you try to skip one, or you don't want this pixel in your life or whatever, or these few pixels, it's not going to complete your picture that
Yeah.
God's putting together for you. This is a famous verse, just to interject real quick. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Yeah, that's some of my favorite verses.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And that's pretty self-explanatory, to not lean off what you want,
Mm-hmm.
or what you think's the best idea. That's why it's always good to run to God and make sure he is 100% okay with it, or is this you and it's not just me or something. I keep bringing up Brother Holloway. Brother Holloway, you better get on one of these podcasts, 'cause I keep bringing you up in this one. But so the reason he started his YouTube channel, I think 2 years ago or something like that, and he said in one of the videos, I'm about to spoil it, but he's spreading the word, so it's okay. He said the reason why he started a vlog channel is because he prayed about it, and he felt like he should do it, but he asked God, he's like, God, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do, if I should do this. I want you to let me know, because I don't want to do it unless you want me to do it. And so he was hanging out with his mom at his house. I think his wife was gone somewhere. She was out of town. And she said, son, order some pizza. And so he did. And the guy came, brought the pizza to him. He gave him his pizza and stuff. He goes, and the pizza guy just goes, hey man, I believe we're living in the end times. And he goes, yeah, I believe that. And he said he gave him no indication that he's a minister whatsoever.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. He said, yeah, bro, I agree. And he goes, then he goes, out of nowhere, he just goes, Lord sent me here to tell you tonight that you need to start a YouTube channel.
Wow.
Like, you talking about
chills.
And then he said, okay, God, the devil could have sent anyone. And of course, I feel like I'm like this too. He said, the devil could have sent anyone to throw me off my game. So if you will give me one more sign. And
I've done that many times.
I honestly, if it's doing something for God, I don't want to do it just because I feel like it's good.
I don't jump in just head first. I'm a very cautious person anyway.
And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just making sure that this isn't just me. It's like, okay, you kind of gave me a sign, or you straight up gave me a sign, or something. It's like, a few things I'm like, yes, but there's some things I'm like, okay, God, give me one more. Give me something else. Because I don't want to do this if this is not your will.
Yeah.
And, he said, someone else came up to him and said, you need to do a YouTube channel. Someone else, a few days later. So he's like, okay, God, this is where we're going. And so I think that's okay to not just run with it if you feel like something's the case.
Oh, yeah. Because I've felt like I could do many things. And not because, I'm the best person ever. That's not what I'm saying at all. But, like, I'm like, oh, like, I think I might like to do that. Or that would be cool. Like, what they did is cool. I can do that too. But just because you think that may not be what you need to touch. Like, that might be somebody else's. And just because you have the ability to do it doesn't mean you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. And also, this is good to think about if you're not sure if you should go into something, which I already kind of mentioned this. It's like, I don't know what ministry I'm supposed to go in, or something like that. Try out different ones. And whatever feels right, feel
Sister Holloway said that, and
I'm bringing them up all the time.
Keep bringing them back. That was so good. That's what she said. She's, like, try something out for 3 months, or like, talk to your pastor and your pastor's wife. See if there's things you can try, and because there's not. I mean, if you're praying about it and you speak with them, and they'll be. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying that.
Yeah.
Exploring your horizons.
And I don't want people to feel like if you get into something, you have to stay in it.
Right.
If you don't feel like it's right for you, don't stay in it. Like, if, for instance, I'm not knocking any of these ministries, but if you're singing and you don't feel like that's any part of ministry that you need to go in, you don't have to keep doing it. You don't have to keep showing up. I mean, you can be like, okay, God, that's not that. Either you show me it wasn't, or I don't feel like this is, or something like that. Or helping in kids' prayers, or maybe speaking in front of a crowd. It doesn't have to be something you try out. You don't have to stick with it. If you genuinely feel, and the Lord did
not make everybody to do everything.
No, there's different ministries to go in. And by the way, speaking of different ministries go in, this is kind of a neat segue. I was actually going to do this anyway, but if anyone, I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but there's this website called ministrycentral.com where you can work on your ministry. I don't know all of the particular aspects, but I know that there's one that I'm working on right now. It's called Launch Your Ministry. Mm-hmm. And basically it just shows you all the principles that you need to know about it if you're going to be a minister.
Yeah.
And it's not a preacher's license or nothing. You're not getting a license for that. It's just this videos telling you about all the things that you need to be aware of during your ministry. And there's also, I believe you can get licensed on there. You can get your I'm not gonna say which ones because I'm not sure, but I'll put a video up and so you can see what I'm talking about. But you can actually get licensed on there. And actually, for anyone that's in the music ministry, there is a course for that. There are courses you take. I didn't explain that, but there's courses that you can go in and take them, and it's not like 1,000 questionnaires. I know Launch Your Ministry is free. Mm-hmm. There are some that you have to pay for. I think the music ministry, it covers people that sing, and it's a course that's if you are in the singing ministry, there's a course you can take for that. If you play a guitar, there's a course for that. If there's a bass player, drums, piano, like literally it's almost unreal all the stuff it covers.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
If you play that specific instrument, I cannot speak right now. They have a course that you can take to keep in mind. I didn't look into that because I think you have to have a membership for that one. But if anyone is curious, you can take a look at that. It's music ministry, evangelizing. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm trying to name off some of the stuff. There's I know there's missions.
Yeah.
On there, there's a church launcher, where you like just launch churches anywhere. I think it might be overseas and stuff for the mission field. Do go check out Ministry Central because that can help you, for one, learn about the ministry.
Yeah.
If you're curious about it, so that could be a pathway in case you're curious on this particular ministry. You can take a course on it. See, I got another verse. We can kind of jump back in. Okay. Maybe we can.
I was gonna say too, because you're talking about like trying new stuff or whatever. I think that's another like way of like pointing out the importance of being faithful to prayer. And that, like, you want to try out new things. You feel a calling, but you don't know exactly what it is, because I'm there. So being faithful to prayer, because you just have to keep that communication open.
Yes. I think number one thing of being faithful is talking to him. That is prayer.
Exactly.
Prayer is the number one thing you got to have if you're going to be faithful. Telling other people that you believe, like, being an example, it's like you may have a devastating thing that's going on right now in your life or something, and they'll be like, and if they see that you're not bothered by it, they're like, how are you okay?
Yeah.
It's like, I know God's going to work it out. I remember my papa had cancer a while back, prostate cancer. And, I tried not to be that down about it, because I was like, God will heal him. Papa's faithful. And, I kind of, my flesh got to me. I cried a little bit about it. And then he came to church one day. I think he was, like, in the hospital for a little bit. Then he finally came back, and he had people pray over him. And he was so faithful about it. And I gave it to him. I prayed for him too when we came to the altar.
Yeah.
And I gave him a hug, and he's like, "It's all right. Lord's gonna work it out." He never shedded a tear. He wasn't even bothered by it. He said, "It's all right. God's gonna work it out," and he did.
Yeah.
And if it's one thing, he's a great example of remaining faithful in devastating times. And I do have John 7:38. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. That's just a verse to throw in. But yeah, showing people that you're faithful and that it's going to work out and stuff. And also, I think praying for others, and it's still back to prayer, but it's also being faithful in other people's situations, not just your own.
Yeah, like you said, like people say, like, please pray for me or whatever. Mm-hmm. You actually do it. And that a thing that I have in my life that I'm really thankful for is I have friends and Like, there's 3 or 4 that I always go to when I have something I'm praying about or something I need prayer for automatically. And, sometimes it's stuff and I just explain it all, and sometimes I'm just like, I need prayers right now. And they're my people. I love my people. But, you need those people in your life to speak into your life that don't, just because they're your close friends doesn't mean they have to have the whole story right there to be there to pray for you, and it's always no questions asked. And that is something I'm so thankful for. And everybody needs that. If you don't have that, find that person. It doesn't have to be a bunch of people. It can be one person. Find somebody that will truly pray for you, stop whatever they're doing. That will, a thing I think about is when you think about your friends and you're thinking about, like, well, who is, like, you say you have all these friends, you think of your Facebook friends, but because, some people have just crazy amount. And I'm like, I know you don't know all these people, but, when you think of your friends, and who would you think of to call when you needed something for somebody to pray with you? And that's how you know who,
Those
like,
your
your
actual friends.
deep, true friends are that are going to stand by you.
Yeah. That is good to do, to have, good, wise, godly friends in your life that are, no matter what, it's almost like they got that, what is it, just always faith kind of thing. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but like anything you tell them, it's like, well, it's going to work out.
Exactly.
Because it's nice to have somebody in on it with you. Like that, like they're there with you. And they may not be in it actually, but knowing that you got their support, their prayers to help cover it too is also a great thing. But yeah, just having absolute complete trust in God is very powerful. I think now I can kind of mention this is just like a reference. I may not explain the full stories.
Yeah, I didn't. I just wrote down like some points.
Yeah. So I figured it'd be good to kind of just mention a few people in the Bible who remained faithful throughout whatever it is they went through.
Yeah.
I think the number one person that people think about is Job.
I wrote him down.
Yes, he is the number one because, I mean, all the stuff that he went through.
It was crazy. I was reading, and I'm like, it was great. Like, he lost his children, and from what I understand, he lost his children because the house collapsed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, a mighty wind came upon it.
Yeah, and I'm like, whoa, like, okay.
I think they said, like, I should have looked it up, but, like, he lost, like, his land, all of his...
He lost his land, his property, and then it was his kids.
His cattle.
And then after that, it was his health.
Yeah, he started, like, getting boars or something like that.
Yeah, he got bulls, and he had the piece of pottery scraping
them off.
Yeah.
And that dude still was faithful to God.
I wrote it down because it said he did not sin nor charge God with wrong.
Yeah.
Like, throughout the whole thing. And
I think he did ask him one time, why are you letting me go through this?
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he said it's your fault.
No, he was asking, like, why does this happen?
And God kind of unleashed on him. He was like, have I not done all these great things? And he's like, well, yes, you have. But why I don't think he ever actually answered his question. But that man remained faithful, though.
That was, and
never doubted him.
His wife telling him, like, why don't you just go ahead and curse God?
Curse God and die.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, I think it's like my favorite line in the Bible, he said, you speak like a foolish woman.
Yeah.
That's what he told her, and I was like, wow.
So,
I don't know if did his wife stay with him, or she...
I want to say she left after that, but I'm not.
It would make sense.
Sure.
That would make sense because he just told you, like, you're a foolish woman. It's like, all right, peace out. So his whole family.
I'm sure she probably wasn't happy with his response.
No, I don't think any lady would be happy with that response.
I would
really.
Probably be a little.
It's like smack.
I hope I never said anything to that extent.
Well, yeah, not to that extent, but okay. But yeah, Job faithful the whole time, and Joseph I think is a good person to mention too.
Yeah.
Because he. Let's see here. He first he got thrown in the pit by his brothers.
Right.
Sold to whoever. I wrote it down. Who did he get sold to? I got it here somewhere. I actually wrote down a story and another thing. He got sold by the Midianites to Egypt unto Potiphar, and So he got sold into slavery now, and I'd automatically be like, Lord, what on earth are we doing? Like, why are you putting me through this?
Mm-hmm.
But never gave it a problem. And then I think he I believe he was in prison next. Or was this?
Yeah.
Or was this after?
I
think this was after the master's wife.
Yes, after
Okay.
Potiphar's wife.
She
Accused him.
basically wanted him real bad, and he said no because it's a sin.
Yeah.
And she was bound and determined. This is a woman determined in her ways, but she tried to get him to sleep with her, and she said no. And he ran off, and she had his what is it called? I guess we'll just say his garment.
Yeah.
Had his garment in his hand.
I think
like,
that's what it says. It's something about his garment.
Yeah, and she accuses him of trying to sleep with her, which she was trying to sleep with him.
Right.
And he got put in prison for it because he was wrongly accused. And I definitely would have been done by then.
Yeah, I would have wanted out of there.
I probably would have been very mad at God by this point. I probably wouldn't be faithful at this point.
Well, I mean, like, as if, like, the betrayal from his brothers isn't bad enough. Like, it just keeps going.
And it's amazing how that dude I'm just sitting there thinking, I wouldn't even make it past the brothers and getting sold.
Yeah.
And he remained faithful through that. And then he got put in prison from something he did not do. And I'm like, this dude's still faithful for those two things.
He is. And then the dreams,
Mm-hmm.
and then the guy goes back and forgets about him.
Yeah, he forgot in prison. I'm like, dude, okay, then I would definitely be mad at that person. I wouldn't even want to talk to him after that. Of course, there's probably a reason why I haven't went through that, because I would probably do that. God knows us. So
Yes.
and then he went through that, and then he ended up interpreting the dreams for Pharaoh, I believe that's right. But the main point of it, he stayed content through it, ended up becoming ruler of Egypt over all of it.
He never.
And then his family
faltered.
came back. And he didn't hate him for it. He said, I know now why I went through all that I went through.
Yeah.
And it's funny, that's what Brother Holloway mentioned again. I'm like, his name's been dropped like 1,000 times.
It's so fresh, and
It's so fresh. It's kind of cool how
the Lord
that was
works
mentioned.
so many awesome things.
Yeah, and that's one thing. He remained faithful through all of that, and then became ruler. I think if I became ruler over some of Egypt or any kind of country or anything, and my old family comes back, I'd probably be like, I don't think I'd be like this, but honestly, if I wasn't where I am now, if it was like a few years ago and I ended up like Joseph, I'd probably be like, kill them.
Yeah.
Like, off with their heads or whatever it is that lady says in that movie or whatever. But
Yep.
that man stayed faithful the whole thing.
Difficult thing.
The entire thing. Do you have anyone else?
I do. Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Is,
oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that, man.
And we actually, in Bread Night, a little while ago, went through, talked about faith. And I looked up some of this stuff, and I was going back through my notes and reading yesterday. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood came. 600.
How old was he when he started building the ark?
Well, it took 120 years to build the ark. 120 years. Do you know how crazy he probably... I don't know. If it was me, I would feel... first off, when the Lord says, hey, build an ark, and, there's no rain, I
Give me another sign.
would feel... Exactly. Yeah. Come on, Lord, say it again. Crazy. And, people... I'm sure people thought he was crazy. And then...
Oh, he got heckled by people.
He did.
While doing it. Imagine how insane you look.
Because... And as if, like building the ark and the drought wasn't bad enough, no rain, you're doing it for 120 years.
120 years.
So I think
by year 2, I'd be done. I'd be like, this isn't you.
Like, the rain hasn't come, I'm not doing this anymore. And then they were on the ark, and the water started to decrease at 150 days.
Yeah, that's another.
So that's another, but he was faithful to what the Lord had told him, even though it did not make sense.
Yeah, definitely that time.
And even, because God had told him, and he trusted God enough to be faithful to what God had told him to do. And I mean, back to faith, evidence of things not seen, substance things hoped for. You know, he could not see that. He had no way of seeing that. There were no meteorologists to tell him, you know, 3 days the storm is coming. So that just really spoke to me, was Noah, like, as it, I mean, you're 600 years old and you spent 120 years building an ark. I would call that dude faithful.
Extremely faithful, because to build that and look insane in front of your people that you see, you don't even see God. That's like us trying to build, I don't know, some sort of machine to survive lava flooding the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody be like, what are you doing? Like, I'm building a boat to survive lava, or not even a boat, but I don't know, something. And it's like, why would you build that? It's Louisiana. There's no volcanoes anywhere near us, at least. Be like, well, the Lord told me that the earth's going to be filled with lava. You're insane.
They would
you
look at you like
need to get
crazy.
put in an insane asylum.
They would.
You probably would get put in that, but
They would.
Esther.
Yeah, I was fixing to say that. I do.
She basically, from what I understand, I actually don't know her story 100%.
Oh, Esther is one of my favorite stories.
Okay, well, do you want to tell it then?
Well, I mean, I don't know every single word for word.
You probably could explain it better.
Well,
I think a lady relates to Esther more.
Yeah, I've always loved Esther. So, she becomes the king's wife, but she's a Jew, and she was raised by her uncle Mordecai. I think it was her uncle.
I think, yeah, it's her uncle.
Okay.
I do know that.
And so she becomes the king's wife, but Mordecai tells her not to tell, like, that she's a Jew. So she never says anything about being a Jew. You know, she finds favor, becomes the king's wife. And then Haman, what ends up happening is Mordecai won't bow, and won't, because, you know, he's faithful to God. So, and Haman is upset that he wouldn't bow and he couldn't get Mordecai to bow. So he, you know, sets out to have the Jews killed. And
that's right, yeah.
They, Mordecai gets word to Esther, talks about being at the gate and saying, like, Haman has sent out this decree to have the Jews killed. She needed to do something about it, you know. And back then, that was not, the queen or women were not allowed to go before the king without, like, being requested first, or, like, you could be killed. So, I mean, that was a main point to me. Like, oh, like, you know,
you could die.
I'm strong, independent. You know, like, I can do this. But I mean, like, death.
You could die.
I don't, like, you know, and I just think of Esther, like, you know, she could have, which ended up, she went before the king and found favor. She did not die. She had favor in his eyes, and even goes to say, like, whatever you ask will be given to you. So, and she tells him what's going on, had a request to have a dinner with the king and Haman, and at the dinner she outs him. And
she outs him, yeah.
He ends up going to the gallows that he had originally set for Mordecai.
Haman?
Yeah.
Oh, because Haman's like his little, what is he, henchman? I don't know what he is.
Yeah, I don't know what you call him. One of his, part of his
he answers
army
to the king or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, I thought he was like, yeah, you said like a leader of an army or something. I don't know what he was, something like that.
He was like part of his military.
Okay, so basically,
from what I understand.
So basically, Haman had, I wouldn't say brainwashed, but like had convinced the king to kill the Jews.
Yes, okay. Like saying, you know, they weren't faithful to the king and all that stuff. And
Sarah tells the king, it's like Haman's the fault for this or something like that.
Yeah, Esther, I don't know exactly how she
throws him under the bus.
Yeah, but she tells him, like, what he did and what happened, and how told him she was a Jew or whatever, and he's trying to kill her people and all this stuff, and he sends him to his death. So, and I just think about Esther, you know, I mean, like, she goes from just, like, common life to living in the palace. She's the queen. She didn't have to, I mean, she didn't.
She didn't have to do that.
No, she didn't have to do that. She could have been like, "Oh, I'm in the palace. I'm the queen." Like,
You think
I
about
didn't even tell him I'm a Jew. Like I am free and clear. She didn't have to listen to Mordecai. She didn't have to do that.
But you think about it, if she had not done that.
If she hadn't, and Esther 4:19, it says, "Perhaps you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this," and I mean, obviously, you can tell like how her timing, being queen, was ordained by God, and her being faithful to Mordecai and doing that, and for the Jews, I just think that's awesome.
Very bold, that's for sure.
Yes.
Man, they had to have some strong faith in the Bible days, and
they talked about her and her maidservants prayed and fasted for so many days.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, she talked to. Okay, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with Esther's story, though I should be. But no, that's a good point to make. And when I say they had a lot of stuff to deal with in the Bible days, I'm not saying we don't. But you think about it.
Kind of stuff.
You think about it. Is some of our problems or situations as bad as from what they had to deal with?
Yeah.
And so God will never put on you more than you can handle.
That's right.
And that's true. It's in Scripture, but like. That's just hard for us to think sometimes because we're like, I can't handle this.
I think you're often surprised that you don't think you can handle this, but He gives you the strength to be able to handle it.
You can't do it by yourself.
No,
you can do it with God.
Not at all.
They that wait on the Lord
shall renew their strength.
Shall mount up with wings as eagles. And then the last part.
They shall run and...
Wait, what is that? They that wait on the Lord shall mount up with wings as eagles.
They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength.
They will renew their strength. And then that. Okay, wow. I have a phone right here. I can look this up. They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength, and they shall mount up with wings as eagles. And fly away. And of course, that's not the last part. But
that's what a lot of people would like to do.
Oh, I would love to fly away from some of my problems,
Oh my gosh.
But that's a good thing to think. It's like, at least we don't have to face death or something.
It is.
Or,
I know, like.
And everything is to work out something. We don't see the full picture. We only see a pixel.
I was gonna say, which we talked about it earlier, but like living a sin-free life, like not. I think sometimes I do it a lot. Just get so focused on not messing up through the day and not having any hiccups and just getting through my day that you're not as faithful to the things God has called you to, because He didn't call us just to wake up, go to school, go to work, come home, get ready for the next day, go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's reaching for people when you go into work, even though they don't want to talk to you, talking to them. Let your light shine. And I said finding God in the chaos, because our days, no matter, everybody's busy. There's no way around it. It's just, if you're living, you're busy. And, that thought hit me, finding God in the chaos. I'm like, oh my gosh, like how I literally can describe most of my days as chaotic. So that really touched me, if not anybody else. But
find God in the chaos. That's a good thing. Thing of remaining faithful is finding God in the chaos.
Yeah.
So, well, Jenna, I believe we can call this an episode, because I can't think of nothing else to end that with. But again, seriously, thank you for taking the time to do this.
I'm glad you asked me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, and with it being a Saturday, a lot of people like to spend their Saturdays doing whatever and stuff.
Yeah.
And then also we sang here for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah.
From 10 to 2:30. I'm not good at math, but
4.5.
4.5. Okay, close enough. But thank you for taking the time. This has been good. This really has been good.
I'm glad you asked. It was fun.
But guys, I do thank you for taking the time and listening. This will be up on every major platform that I put on Instagram and Facebook and everything. But just be ready, and thank you for listening.